How twin flames communicate beyond words. Have you ever felt like someone was speaking to you without saying a word? Maybe through a song, a dream, or even a simple coincidence that left you wondering, was that really them reaching out to me? If you're on the twin flame journey, you already know. This connection is unlike anything else on Earth. And the truth is, even when you and your twin flame aren't speaking directly, communication never truly stops. The twin flame journey is filled with intensity, with silence, and with synchronicities that can't be explained by logic alone. One of the biggest questions I hear again and again is, how do twin flames communicate when they aren't talking in the physical world? And another one often follows, can my twin really reach me through dreams, through telepathy, or through those strange coincidences that keep showing up? Today, I want to walk you through this mystery step by step. By the end of this talk, you'll understand not just how communication happens when words are absent, but also why it happens, and how to recognize these signs when they show up in your life. But before we dive deeper, let me ask you something. If words aren't necessary for twin flames to connect, then what is the real language of the soul? The first thing we need to understand is this. Twin flames don't only communicate as humans, they communicate as souls. And the soul does not speak in sentences, or texts, or phone calls. The soul speaks in energy. It speaks in feelings. It speaks in signs, in synchronicities, and in those quiet whispers of intuition that make you stop and pay attention. When twins are in separation, the divine steps in as the messenger. It makes sure that each twin receives the exact signs and triggers they need at that moment to move forward on their inner journey. If one twin is avoiding their healing, life will orchestrate circumstances, sometimes painful ones, to wake them up. If the other twin is over-focusing on the physical reunion, synchronicities may nudge them back to their inner work. This is where telepathy naturally comes into play. Telepathy isn't something you force, it's the natural state of twin flame connection. Even if you don't realize it consciously, you are constantly exchanging energy with your twin. That's why you suddenly feel their emotions, or why you wake up thinking about them, even after months of silence. But this raises another important question. If communication is always happening, how do we know whether it's real guidance from our twin or just our own imagination? Dreams are one of the most common ways twins connect when they can't talk directly. The dream world is a space where the subconscious mind and the soul can meet freely. But here's the challenge. Not every dream is a message. Some dreams are simply your subconscious processing emotions. The key is in how the dream feels. Twin flame dreams are vivid, unforgettable, and emotionally charged. They feel more like a visitation than a simple story playing in your mind. Telepathy is another powerful channel. Sometimes it shows up as a sudden thought in your head, one that feels different from your usual inner voice. Sometimes it's a wave of warmth in your chest, or a sudden knowing that your twin is thinking about you at that exact moment. And sometimes, the communication comes as lyrics in a song, a phrase on a billboard, or a book falling open on the perfect page. And then there are synchronicities, the so-called coincidences that are anything but random. These are divine reminders that the bond is real and alive. Repeated numbers like 1111, running into their favorite things in unexpected places, or seeing symbols tied to them, like a certain animal, a car, or even a place, are all ways communication shows up. But this leads us into a deeper layer of understanding. Why does the divine rely so heavily on signs and synchronicities to guide us, when words would seem so much easier? The answer is simple, yet profound. If twins could speak openly whenever they wanted, most would avoid the inner work. They would cling to the comfort of words, instead of facing the truth of transformation. The silence, the distance, the indirect communication, it all has a purpose. It forces growth. It forces surrender. It forces you to listen, not to their voice, but to your own soul. Indirect communication is the divine's way of showing you where you are on the journey. If you receive a trigger and you react with anger, fear, or obsession, that shows you the healing that still needs to be done. If you receive a sign and you feel peace, trust, and love, that shows you how much you've grown. The signs don't just connect you to your twin, they connect you to yourself. So yes, communication happens through dreams, through telepathy, through synchronicities, through those moments of inner knowing that words can't explain. And when you learn to trust these forms of communication, you no longer feel lost in the silence. Instead, you begin to see that silence is part of the conversation. But here's the real question that remains. How do we respond to these signs in a way that actually moves us forward, rather than keeping us stuck in longing? The answer is this. Shift your focus from, what is my twin trying to tell me? To, what is the divine trying to teach me right now? Because every dream, every synchronicity, every telepathic message is not just about your twin, it's about your growth. Your soul is guiding you back home to yourself. And only when that happens does true reunion become possible. So next time you dream of them, or hear that song, or see that sign, don't just ask, was that my twin? Ask, what is this moment teaching me about love, about patience, about faith, about myself? That is where the real communication lies. Not just between you and your twin flame, but between you and the divine. And remember, separation does not mean silence. It means the conversation has simply moved into higher realms, waiting for you to listen. If this message spoke to your heart today, I invite you to reflect on the signs and synchronicities in your own journey. Keep a journal of your dreams, your intuitive hits, the songs or symbols that appear in your path. Over time, you'll start to see the divine weaving a beautiful story of connection that goes far beyond words. And if you want to go deeper, stay with me on this journey. Subscribe, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and remember, you are never alone on this path. The bond you feel is real, it is sacred, and it is guiding you home.